I'm trying to be a highly academic person. Read the book by Professor Simon Ross Valentine. You could also look into Dr. Jessica Byrne. They both have books where they have done statistics where they have said majority,
Gilad, just need to
nine,
know the same
nine,
person just mentioned, the professor, actually wrote the same book about Mut'a and Shia and Shia.
no, he
Yes,
didn't. I
he did.
know. I
I
have
You
read
the
his
seem
book.
book.
like you seem
He,
like an expert in muta,
Habibi,
Omar. Maybe
Omar,
you're an undercover Shia, or maybe you're
Omar,
just jealous.
Omar, look, I have the professor in my Facebook. I've chatted with him. I know all his books that he's written. So no, he has not written anything on Muta. So he has written that in his conclusion of his book that all of ISIS, they come from the Wahhabiya sect. Their main role model is Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah and Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. Okay, so yes, they claim to be the Salaf Salih. That's why they're eagerly killing people to establish an Islamic state, because that's what the Salaf Salih was trying to do by conquering other places.
conquering is no problem. There's no problem conquering.
Yeah, and
Unless
also
now you want to tell me even conquering is haram.
Then why didn't the Prophet not conquer?
We did conquer. The Muslims,
No,
Caliphate, did conquer.
no. Where did Rasulullah go to Persia? Did he go to Rome?
No,
Did he
but he
conquer?
prophesied of it.
No,
No,
no.
he
So
did.
no, if he didn't,
In the Battle of
so,
Khandaq, when they were digging the
so
graves, he
what was
prophesied, "We
put?
will conquer Persia. We will conquer Yemen. We will conquer Sham, and I think Persia as well." Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So the thing is that when the Prophet didn't do it, even though he had what 10 years to do it, he didn't do
but you
it.
can't say that because not 10 years were they dominant. They became dominant after the Prophet ﷺ. So there was a gradual step. When they were
And
dominant, they took the upper hand. It's about tactical.
and yeah, and then secondly is I can clearly see how, I mean, there's no bias here, and speaking clearly from an academic point, scholars have written down exactly how did Omar conquer Persia, for example. I mean, the amount of
by the sword.
but
No,
I
Gilani,
mean,
you know what you're trying to say? You're trying to assume that Islam is meant to be in one place. That's not true. Islam is meant to be everywhere. And if that is
okay,
goes in conquering a
Yeah, with
place,
the will
then
of
no
Allah,
Islam
not
problem.
with
is
the will of the sword.
No
no
problem,
with the
Omar.
will of the sword, but
But
with a conduct
So
of war.
so you think it's okay for like jihadi nikah people to go in and just kill a bunch of
nah,
Shiites?
Abu
I'm being
Hassan,
serious. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being
No, I
serious.
mean, look,
Abu
today
Hassan, so,
it's different. War now is different than back then. Right? It's very,
no,
very different.
no, Habibi, Omar, look, listen. The thing is that what the Prophet, he has a saying, the ink of a scholar is far more greater than the blood of a martyr. So there are many instances where he prioritized academia, institutions of schools and education, and likewise Ali Muhammad. The thing is that I don't see that from the second caliph. Rather, I see him, in fact, being anti academic by burning the whole Alexandria library. And by preaching Islam, yes, it was by the sword, by taking slave women from Persia and distributing it to the people of Kufa and etc. This is
Uh,
not clearly. This is
I
not
don't know
clearly.
about the Alexandria Library, but if he
Yeah,
did that, that's a good
yes,
thing. I mean,
yeah.
that's a good thing.
What? What do you mean there
Yeah,
was a
the
good thing?
Alexandria, isn't that like in Egypt, the pagan library? I don't know.
Allahu Akbar. You see, this is the aql. Ali ibn Abi Talib told Umar bin Khattab, don't burn the library. Do not look who is teaching you. Look what they're teaching you. Okay, mashallah. So the thing is that if there was alchemy, chemistry, biology, physics, all these things that Muslims could had benefited from, they didn't. Why? Because Omar burnt the whole library. Why? I mean, do you not in the States, do Muslims, are they not learning from non-Muslims today? Yes, they are, right? If you were here in the States or Canada or in London, you'd be learning in a uni under a non-Muslim. I don't see what was anything wrong at that time, right? I mean, so I really don't understand this mentality.
Well, it depends which books it is.
Well, I'm telling you, Alexandria Library was not a library filled with Harry Potter books, bro. It was a library that had physics, had
Can
chemistry,
you show
bio.
me a single book that had chemistry back in the time of the of Abu Bakr? Chemistry.
Omar ibn
Omar,
Khattab.
Omar.
I think that's
Sorry,
highly
sorry,
unlikely.
sorry, Brother Nadim. If you may just permit me to
Yeah,
interrupt
yeah,
here
yeah.
a
Go ahead,
little
go
bit.
ahead.
I just want to, because apparently, Omar is a young Sunni boy, and he's passionate, about his religion. And of course, with the times that, Lebanon is passing through, he may feel, some Sunnis now, they may feel, that it's the fault, of Israel and America and all that. Then, the sectarian ones, they may, attribute the blame to the Shia in Lebanon and a particular part of the Shias. But anyway, why I'm mentioning this is because he's kind of, nostalgic for past glory. When he looks maybe in the history of Islam, he listens or he hears or he reads some scholars, informing him, how the Muslims used to ride horses, and chopping off heads. So maybe he thinks, this is always, something positive or something good. But the thing is, Islam actually spread across the world, mostly through peaceful means. The only places where Islam actually needed to be spread with the sword are where there were empires. In other words, there were clashes of empires, or there was a clash of empires. For example, Islam against the Byzantines, Islam against the Persians. So these are like administrative entities. They were political entities. They had political leadership. So for Islam to actually spread, they actually had the Muslims had to face these powers. That's number one. Number two, like even in the time of Muawiyah, like yesterday, I was actually watching something. I have forgotten which. Yeah. The Sheikh is called, I think, Saad or Sa'id al-Mudarris. He's an Iraqi Shia Sheikh. Very enlightened, very outspoken, very enlightened. He said that he thinks that even the Christians, he's talking of the Byzantines. I'm not talking of like ordinary Christians. No, I'm talking of the Byzantines. He said they had a role in the killing of Imam Hussein in Karbala. Now, the advisor of Yazid, he was a Christian. The advisors of Muawiyah, he was a Christian. Sarjun, he was a Christian. So in the time, for example, of Muawiyah, he actually uplifted the Christians in Bilad al-Sham. And this is the reason today in Lebanon, in Syria, you still have, even in Egypt, you have, sizable Christian presence. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily a negative thing, but what I am trying to portray here is that Muawiyah, for example, and his son, they were under the influence of the Nasara. That's number one. Number two, if you look at this hadith that is pinned from Sahih Bukhari 4203, what does it say? If you read the hadith, it says here, عن الزهري قال أخبرني سعيد بن مسيب أن أبا هريرة قال شهدنا خيبر فقال رسول الله لرجل ممن معه يدعي الإسلام هذا من أهل النار فلما حضر القتال قاتل الرجل أشد القتال حتى كثرت به الجراحة فكاد بعض الناس يرتاب فوجد الرجل ألم الجراحة فأهوى بيده إلى كنانته فاستخرج منها أسهما فنحر بها نفسه فاشتد رجال من المسلمين قالوا يا رسول الله صدق الله حديثك انتحر فلان فقتل نفسه فقال قم يا فلان فأذن أنه لا يدخل الجنة إلا مؤمن إن الله يؤيد الدين بالرجل الفاجر. What does this mean? It says,
He killed himself.
yeah, he killed himself basically. So we witnessed, Abu Huraira said, we witnessed the battle of Khaybar. Allah's messenger said about one of those who were with him who claimed to be Muslim. This man is from the dwellers of the hellfire. Rasulullah told somebody who was with him at Khaybar, and the person was claiming to be a Muslim, that this Muslim, he is a person who will go to Jahannam. So he said, this man is from the dwellers of the hellfire. When the battle started, that fellow fought so violently and bravely that he received plenty of wounds. This is somebody that is fighting for Islam, and he's getting wounded. He's getting wounds. He's bleeding. In other words, he's getting his blood shed because of Islam. Some of the people were about to doubt the Prophet's statements. You see, Rasulullah made a statement that this person, he's from among the people of Jahannam. So now, they see this person, he's fighting so valiantly. Brave guy, fighting, shedding his blood. People, instead of believing the Prophet, that this Prophet, he's actually saying the truth, and this guy, there is something that will be revealed about him. No, they started, doubting the Prophet. Some of the people were about to doubt the Prophet's statement, but the man, feeling the pain of his wounds, put his hand into his quiver and took out of it some arrows with which he slaughtered himself. That is, he committed suicide. Then some men among the Muslims came hurriedly and said, "O Allah's apostle, Allah has made your statement true. So and so has committed suicide." The Prophet said, "O so and so, get up and make an announcement that none but a believer will enter paradise, and that Allah may support the religion with an unchaste, evil, wicked man." So, A'udhu Billah Minash Shaitanir Rajim. May Allah not make us among, such people, whereby we
But
support the
what was
religion.
the point of the whole hadith that you just read? I mean, you're trying to prove something. I don't get it.
Yes, of course I'm trying to prove something. I'm trying to liken this kind of person to Umar ibn al-Khattab. Yani, it's so obvious. You want me to say it like plainly? Like you are a medical student. You should have understood this.
There
You
is
were
nothing
given.
comparable to Umar ibn al-Khattab. When he was praying, he was dying. Right? His intestines were literally outside his stomach, and he was still
Mm.
praying Salat al-Fajr. There is nothing in comparison
MashaAllah.
to Umar ibn
Masha.
al-Khattab.
MashaAllah.
He died a
MashaAllah.
martyr.
MashaAllah. Batal. طيب. طيب. Uh, Well, I think there's a hadith, when he was praying. When he was stabbed. I think they got him alcohol or something. I think there's a hadith like. Well, listen. This is not important as far as I am concerned. Whether he was praying. Fir'aun, when Fir'aun was dying, he said, "I repent to Allah," in the Quran. And what did Allah tell him? Should I get you the verse? Or you
Uh,
know the verse, Omar? Huh?
Yeah, it was. So you see, when he was attacked, he cried out loud that a cat has killed me or a cat has attacked me. And then before he died, he asked for Nabid. Yeah, so I mean, no. Arabs know better what Nabid is. I think I have a scan for that.
Well, brother Nadim, even if we want to make this argument, they may tell us that, alcohol is actually permitted if you're dying and all that, It's not, this is not for us, to judge this, his intention or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, even if you tell me he was praying, based on the Quran, we see that during the point of death or at the point of death, Fir'aun, he repented to
عفوا
Allah.
to cut you off بس في واحد اسمه خالد